Thank you, Prash. It's really nice, wonderful to talking to you. I've been seeing these Sciversations. I'm not often came to the Sciversations before Sciversations, but I really liked. I often see them as an offline, and because usually the time what it comes actually doesn't suit some most of the time for me, but then yeah, I see offline. So I will. I'm very excited to be part of this conversation now. So this gives me a really good opportunity to talk to Prash actually. So yeah, I would like to present some things about me. Just a moment. I just made a kind of simple presentation. Yeah, that's as Prash was saying. I did my schooling everything in Hyderabad, so from Telangana. Um, and after that, bachelor's BTech in computer science and information technology. That's from Karimnagar. So people who are familiar to Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they might know about Karimnagar. I did my diploma in German language at Osmania University. Um, So, I think the reason that could be very interesting why I did German language and why it motivated to this going these directions, people should find something interesting. Probably I could explain again in later. And MSc in computer science at University of Freiburg. A major is artificial intelligence and a minor in bioinformatics. So it basically has a kind of major and minor structure there. So you can do choose the subjects and other things. So it's like that. And then afterwards, a PhD in pharmaceutical bioinformatics. Um, so yeah, that's some of my pictures at PhD. So it's usually in Freiburg, when you get a PhD, you are kind of given a position in a wagon. So they build up that wagon and then give the position. That's a kind of a culture here. So for the PhDs, that's a really awesome culture. I really liked it and I enjoyed it as part of it. And please remember the picture in the wagon in the monitor. That has a meaning, definitely. I'll come to that point. And works, I've been doing several various works. Probably I just go by my interest and everything in that way. So that has been my journey. I've worked in telecom sector, voice IP sector, IT sector, cloud coordinator, cloud architect, teaching, renewable energy works. It's a kind of varied kind of things. Although it's not showing up the bioinformatics because I thought bioinformatics is already kept as a PhD, so I just skipped it here. But the couple of them are related to that one. So research works were most of the time kind of natural compounds, databases in that kind of format. So StreptomeDB, PubMed Portable, NANPDB, SEMP, those are the works which were part of my PhD and also kind of after PhD were also there. So NANPDB, it's a kind of a database. It's a kind of collaboration from one of my friend who is in another university, and he's from Africa. So he's very much passionate about collecting compounds from there. So he's then we got an idea of presenting it in form of database, and the database actually shows not only compounds but also gives the ability to search the compounds as a kind of similarity search and other things. So of course these things are available in others, but kind of different algorithms what we tried to use. That was a kind of a different approach we chose here. StreptomeDB, this is another natural compounds database. This was part of our group where I was doing my PhD, and needed to upgrade it and also made it much more because it became a very popular StreptomeDB. It was getting accessed by many people, so it has to be. It was breaking and other aspects, so this has to be upgraded and made more better accessible. And it's now into version 3. In the version 2, I was part actually. So in the 3 right now. And there's another database. It's a kind of not database, but it uses the database and then tries to predict the pipeline for the polyketides. So this uses the compounds from the NAN-PDB and then StrepTome-DB, and then queues the an identification pipeline for non-reversible peptides. So this was a kind of contribution from my side, more in terms of technical aspect. There was another guy who was not part of our group who was dealing more in terms of the work related to the SEMP. And it's now also a bit popular, and it's going into SEMP2 version. I've been doing several voluntary activities. So Galaxy in India is what I would consider that's one of my voluntary activity. TMS Foundation, probably that could be a kind of motivation where the Galaxy India also, with that kind of the thought process. I was part of member of Lok Satta Party. Probably people in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana would know about it, although the party doesn't exist anymore right now. And thank you for the Prash and other community here. I'm also part of right now in Bioclues. There's a conference, what we tried to do since last year about the natural compounds, along with my NAN-PDB friend. So we are doing this one. This is like basically about the natural compounds conference. So people try to talk about their progress going on with the natural compounds and secondary metabolites. So yeah, that's the TMS Foundation. The name, what it says, Tarunavadanina Mukti Bharatonyan Samstha. So yeah, if you see, this is actually a kind of a Sanskrit word, and this Sanskrit, I mean, for me, it was like while doing my bachelor's and other things, it was usually in Andhra Pradesh, while you do BTech computer science, usually it was a trend of going abroad. And so why this is there, this approach, I do understand this, because we have things like we don't all doesn't get jobs, and also there are many aspects to attached to it. People do go to, but I was like kind of non-inclined to go to US. Somehow I was averse to go that, but then it's like, what do I do? The questions in mind propagated me to actually attempt the GRE. So this is one of the things which people do, and I attempted. So I just wanted to see if I'm good enough to do that. And after doing GRE, but what do I do with the GRE? I didn't want it to go to US. So the idea was, why our knowledge is not available in our own languages. That actually prompted me to in this direction. So I wanted to see, okay, we have in our own languages probably in very less to very less extent. That was my understanding. So probably up until 10th, and in some areas in degree, but after that it's not there. Is it there in any other part of the world? Does it exist? If so, where? How is it? So then I was searching. Then mostly I got into like German, Japanese, and these were the couple of countries more I found. They do have their PhDs also in their own languages. Learning Japanese was really tough, so German was easier. But then, of course, that's not the only reason. I also felt why it was not there in Sanskrit. Although I had Sanskrit usually in Andhra Pradesh region, they have the Sanskrit also a kind of one of the language in their 10th, 11th and 12th, or the intermediate. So I couldn't continue. I wanted to continue, but I never gave time for it. So yeah, that motivated to me learn Sanskrit at Ramakrishna Math. And there I found the German language and the German other things. So these both are kind of closed languages. So that motivated me to learn German language, and where I could also use my GRE and other things. So then I felt, okay, the Germany was a place where I could understand how they can use their own language for their own development and other things. So that motivated me to visit Germany. So yes, the idea of Tarunavadanina Mukti Bharatonyan Samstha was like in a non-formal way, existed our last 10 years, but maybe formal way as a foundation since last more than a year, it is there. yeah, as the name says, it's youth contribution with Open Bharat Development Foundation. It's like I do like this Linux approach, open source approach, and that's basically the image what you've seen. People, all my during my PhD and all other things, also I used to like mostly doing those things, and so. The colleagues keep what I like and what I do mostly. So the Ubuntu interface, what you see, that was the thing in the wagon. So that's the thing, IDM. So that's actually a kind of short thing about TMS Foundation. And of course, once I've been to TMS Foundation, or that kind of an attitude of thinking things, the galaxy, where I was in Freiburg, from where the galaxy actually propagates to complete Europe, this actually gives a lot of motivation, which is also completely open source. So I felt once I see and I know the strength of it, part of being a bioinformatics, I felt this has to reach to India. So yes, the Galaxy project I wanted to do and as much as possible contribute for it. So as part of it, right now, galaxyproject.in, some of you might know, being in Inbix and other things. So yeah, this website exists, of course. The try towards the Galaxy, it's still going on. So being understanding about the open source, that is a main motivation towards coming to the Galaxy, and then it can go to others also, and it can be useful for others. So this is, yeah, as I was saying, the workshop, which is happened last year and could happen this year also. We already getting finalized. So this could happen in the March again. So yeah, that's a short presentation about me, I would say. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. 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 Um, I don't know if I could share. Probably it's a good idea. The others also could understand. I go a bit backwards to come to the point why I took the pharmaceutical bioinformatics. After finishing my bachelor's, as I said, like I was looking for, um, of course, doing a GRE and then a master's, other things. But by the time I started to apply for Germany, I've been getting the admission to Germany, but my visa got every time rejected. So it got rejected 5 times. So let's say fifth or sixth time, I don't remember right now. So it's after that I got accepted. So the visa was getting rejected. So by that time I had to work. So and that period I was working in voice or telecom sector and other areas. So why it got rejected is a completely kind of very jovial. It's a very funny incident, I would say. So usually you need to write an IELTS exam and or the GRE exam. So the GRE, so TOEFL. So TOEFL are the IELTS. In that English exam, they do take the camera image of the person, and that image the embassy felt it's not the my image, so I could have flopped it, or let's say faked it, and that kind of a misunderstanding after has broken only after one of the professors spoke to embassy here, that after that I could get in. So such kind of, they are not answerable, but yeah, I'm not sure about this. I don't want to make it this is an authentic one. So this is could be a reason, but yeah, anyway. So after finishing my bachelor's and coming to Germany, I chose computer science. But while I was doing computer science, almost the subjects it was like I'm still in the starting of my German language. So there were like some subjects were German language, they taught in German language, and some were taught in English. So the subjects which were taught in English, it's like we can choose whatever the subjects we want to take. So the subjects which were taught in English were all I finished it, either in my bachelor's or in my work. I didn't want it to redo all those things. And I had to choose subjects which are I want, which I the new ones are in German language, but it's a bit difficult. So I thought in start, so I was taking slowly. So in we had an option also, like you can take one subject after the other. So in semester you don't have to take all, so you can span your period, but you need to take care of yourself. That's the kind of thing. So while you take that, I ended up taking biology, genetics, bioinformatics. So minor, I took the bioinformatics. That's where I started the bioinformatics. And after finishing, I'm doing computer science, other things. So my approach, what I could take from Germany to India, I felt, is the research what I seen here. Now, taking the research in what field, I felt, I mean, I know how to speak to computers, probably with the computer science background, but I have to speak to the computer with making with the, for the research. And the best one I found is at that point of the bioinformatics. In that way, I stepped into the bioinformatics and the natural science where I can learn again. So I lost my natural science subjects while doing bachelor's and other things, but again come back in the master's and the PhD. And so that's where it started. And then afterwards, we had a department here. There's a, so like there are 8 to 9 pharmacy departments, but there's only one department among them is the bioinformatics along with the pharmacy. So there where I can where my profile can suit. So I took the PhD over there. Yeah, that was a path. So if I understand the question, like what's the real challenge for bioinformaticians to take the cloud approach? Is it? Yeah, yeah. So I mean, right now it's let's say still in the let's say in infancy stage, or let's say just let's say middle stage right now in the cloud infrastructure. It's still a basic thing, I would say. But then irrespective of if it's basic or not basic, people who use the research tools and other things, for them it is immaterial. For them it's like how background is there, for them it is immaterial. um, so they have to just use it. But what I feel is most of the time is like researchers from non-computer science background and directly. So for them, it's like switching new tools always is a kind of a difficult task. It's not. I mean, I might feel it very easy, but for them it's not that easy. It's like for them it's once they want to get used to one tool and then do not want to switch that tool. That's more often. Fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately I would say, because IT keeps changing. Probably IT graduates and those people still have the jobs. If they don't do, they have probably they will keep having jobs by changing and upgrading new things. But then unfortunately for others, the new things keeps coming up. They need to also keep up with that space. But anyway, if things get to the change to the cloud, if still ability to use them still becomes the similar way, then it's not going to be that hard. But anyway, let's assume, if, for example, Galaxy, because yeah, we are into the Galaxy, so if I took the example of that one, it's completely on the browser based. So everybody on the browser, so people who wants to use it shouldn't be a matter, who only you want to use. Um, but if they want to actually take another tool, then comes the problem. Because if you had a tool only on the, let's say, a Linux computer or any other computer, so it was only about the tool you need to learn and then do. But now if you want to give this tool, you need to learn the tool and do the tool, and then give the ability to input it into the Galaxy also. That's another step. So that's a kind of an effort, if they want to put it into the cloud, people who develop. Apart from this, I think right now still we are in the infancy stage in terms of infrastructure. Not many have the infrastructure to maintain the cloud infrastructure. So that's another big thing. Yeah, once if we are able to manage big cloud infrastructures, and if people are available to manage those things, I think then it will be much more easier. Um, in terms of Galaxy, right now I see it's more about the popularity. Uh, that's not there. If people want to use the Galaxy, that's the only thing what I see right now. If because there are already instances which are there around the world, so these are there. But again, for me, coming to another point is like, if the tools what are there in the Galaxy, if are there enough for them? That's also sometimes I feel probably that's not enough. Or let's say people who wants to develop only are motivated to do the Galaxy. It's a tricky situation, I would say. Uh, whenever so if people who wants to use, if Galaxy is popular, they could use. But then once if they want to use a Galaxy, then the labs has to produce more data. So if the data is getting produced and they can use, I'm not sure, probably they are already using it internally, but they are not coming up as an open. That could also be one of the reasons. So I know that internally at few of the institutes in India uses a Galaxy. Probably the numbers what we could want, it's not there. But I would attach this to another thing. Maybe it's a completely non-scientific topic. So it's like, I feel like in India, until we don't fill up our stomachs, the research is going to be always that hard. So if you know if people, if you work in Galaxy in India, and if you work on the Galaxy on the team topic outside India, you might earn a bit more money, which doesn't happen. So obviously researchers do feel that they want a bit more, they could earn more. That will definitely incentivize them. But this is not going to happen that soon in India. So for any research, if it's going to happen, it's not going to happen, because in India approach, what I see in Europe, or I don't know about much of the US, but Europe, what I see here, you have a lot of funding for the research, which we don't have funding in India, because we don't pay taxes. So maybe it's like 5 to 8% people pay taxes in India. Here it's like 90% people, 95% people take taxes. When you pay so many taxes, obviously government will have more funding to funding agencies and other things. But this doesn't happen in India. I think until that increases, we are going to fight for very small chunks, whoever the researchers are there. And it will be like very few chunks. And so the motivation will be very less. This is what one of the reason I feel. Yeah. I mean, sorry, one more statement I want to add here. It's like if you if in India, a researcher should not be just about research about the topic. If you're doing 100% only about the research about the topic, it's not going to help. We need to at least 30-40% invest time for that ability to as a system to develop. We should be able to pay more taxes. If you're not investing time for that aspect, don't expect the system to pay more. We have to invest our time for that. No. And that's, I completely, and that's where actually I can say, if you can say that both are similar, so even though they are getting less incentive and able to do so, which means Indians are much more hardworking than the others. So even though they get less incentive, they are doing this already explains the research community. They are doing extreme hard work already. I'm not saying so. We need to really proud of it. Yes. Um, yeah. So the most it's like I mean so for I mean just spontaneously I got that in my mind right now. Probably it's a kind of non-scientific thing, so because you're also part of the Lok Satta. So it's like so the moment the Lok Satta was dissolved, the idea of all the who were extremely hard workers who were trying to promote and doing. So I was also part of promoting and other things. Was I was part of. So where do you go because you wanted to be in the political region? So where do you want to go? So everybody will find a different political party after that if you want to stay in the political space. So now it's like one each one has a different opinion. I go this direction and I go it's this direction. So but both of them, everybody wants the development of India. We have to, that's the point. So it's a kind of different agreement, but still we can go. The idea is we take the topic based approach, not as in party. You may be in any party, but the topic is the much more important than the party. So the top, so if any, let's say the point is the discussion was, do you go in a different party or my party? It's more about not going to which party, but it's more about the topic. So in that way, that's a kind of an agreement. What needs to be focused has to be thought. Coming to, let's say, if I take another example within the terms of scientific thing, well, actually, it's a good if the conflict in scientific scenario, if the conflict or disagreements exist, that's much more better thing. If it is doesn't exist, it's a bad thing. I would feel because if the conflict or disagreements exist, then you both or multiple scenarios can exist, and you try in different area methods. If doesn't exist, we will try only in one method. We don't know whether that will succeed or not. But if you try in two different methods, one of them could succeed. The probability of succeeding something becomes much more. So if you have different approaches. No, probably you might have given me the long question, but for that long question, I have answered at least three times time. I mean, the point is, you actually pulled out a very big topic. I'm not sure. You can stop me at some point. I would say that's the point right now. That's the topic you touched right now. So this is right now. It's I mean, after having this last 1.5 year Corona period, the point is people started to think about the nature also. So the nature comes in here. The point is what I'm bringing the nature here is we have the point is the technology is progressing so fast that manufacturing another 10 GB RAM is much more easier than using the 2 GB RAM. This is actually going. But now the point is we have to think about, is it a good idea to manufacture 10 GB? Are we spoiling the nature? Now the point is coming to the point of, are we spoiling the nature? Now, do we consider the nature that seriously? It all depends on the system. So for example, after if you see also the world the COP21, these conferences where then people talk about the environment, and India is satisfying that COP21. That's, I'm really happy about that. But Europe or America, these people are these countries with the name of development already spoiled a lot of nature in terms of, if you go in terms of statistics and other things, they have a lot already done. There is also a website I would recommend others to go and see, that there is a footprint website. You can actually put in all your what you use in the daily usage. It gives you a result saying that if I put in all my entries what I use, it will give me if same usage done by everybody on the earth, how many earths do I need? So usually for the Europeans, it will come around 2.4 or 3 earths, 4 earths. For Americans, it's like 1.5 2 earths of some, for some 4 or 7. So in America, it's a kind of varied distance. So for some, it will be like 10 earths. For some, it is 1.4. Europe, you might have a kind of median in somewhere. But for India, it's like right now, it's 0.91, 0.9. It's somewhere, it's still less than 1. So we are in a safe zone as an average. But can we stay there while we are doing our thinking about the nature? So the point is, 10 GB is definitely, manufacturing is much more easier, but while you manufacture 10 GB, we need a solution to scrap up the 2 GB or reuse the 2 GB. If you don't have that solution, as a nature person, you shouldn't do that. But do we have concern that much for the nature? It's a complete system has to take. It's not single individual or something. And the point is right now, where in India we are right now, it's a kind of a phase where we want to progress very fast. So I don't think so people will have that much patience to work with the 2 GB. People are getting 2 GB, 10 GB mobile phones, and mobile phones are much more better can do computing than the 2 GB RAMs. So there are things with the 2 GB local cloud infrastructure, this can be done, but maintaining that infrastructure and putting that infrastructure will take time. That is the point, is a trade-off where we can do this one. I don't know if I answered what you were actually asked me. So if we concern more about the nature, obviously you will go and then work for the 2 GB. I have a parallel computing. There are a lot of solutions. My bachelor project was also in the parallel computing. So yeah, the parallel computing or the local computing has use it as an MPVM. There are many solutions you can do, but for this the main point motto is required is, I want to save the nature. That is much more important. If you don't have the time, well, I would buy it. That's very easy for me. That's much more cheaper, because if I want to recruit somebody to set up that one, he will take much more money than I buy the another 10 GB RAM. Let's say 10 GB doesn't exist, 8 GB or 12 16 GB. Yeah. Oh, sorry, another thing, sorry, I want to add. There is a project right now going on in the TMS. We just recently, 2 weeks before we started, or let's say 3 weeks before we started, because I come to know there are in 3 or 4 organizations in Germany who are trying to gather these unused computers. So we are trying to, because if you see in Europe, they quickly give away or sell off the computers. So, for example, people in Europe, they sell off the computers that will be much more let's say, high configuration computers compared to people in India give up their computers. because for them it's a kind of cheaper one. So obviously, and so they are trying to collect all those things, and also try to give the guarantee also for reconfigured things, and then trying to sell them. And now I spoke to a couple of institutes, let's say a couple of these things, and I'm trying completely a kind of a legal process how it can be brought to India, those computers, if it is imported. I come to another point also on this. What actually happens is, from the Europe and US, they throw their electronic scrap to African countries and India and in the ocean. So African countries, and because they take the electronic scrap. But India stopped 10 years before. We have a kind of ruling on this, and India stopped taking this scrap in 10 years before around. So it's usually in the Gujarat and Maharashtra region. They're in the sea route, they come and they throw into the sea, ocean, or something like that. So usually there's electronic scrap are thrown. So that's been stopped. That's a good, as a law. It's been stopped. That's a good thing. But then they have to be get used. But Africa didn't stop, so a lot of electronic scrap go to the Africa. There are a lot of islands which are getting completely spoiled because of that. If these things are not getting used, so basically, as a world community, this has to be a kind of pressure has to come. If somebody buys an electronic equipment, they also need to know how to scrap it in that. If this consciousness is not there, it's not going to improve. But of course, it is improving. I'm optimistic about it. Yes. Well, one of the pastime is my cycling is one of my pastime that I would do a lot. Yeah, I mean, I know my longest was like say 60, 70 kilometers one. So I'm trying to cross that one. But yeah, that's the one. That's one of the thing. I still don't have my car license. Usually people have license within a year or 2 years. I don't have my car license yet. So yeah, but of course I'm trying to take it because it could be useful. Having a license is not a bad idea, because now there is a sharing car system and other things is more popularly happening. So having car license is not a bad idea, but owning a car is a probably we need to think about it, because in India I'm sure we can have share cars and reduce the traffic. So that, if of course that requires a lot of system. Actually, owning a car should be not considered as a pride. We should somehow, as a society, if we can do that, that would be great. Owning a cycle, having a cycle paths, that would be awesome. I'm actually as part of yeah, we try to Alagada is one of the village place where contestants of the Lok Sabha, we had a kind of some talk, maybe kind of having a couple of streets with the cycle street and other things, but it's not that easy. Yeah, sitting here and doing these things will get extremely slow. Then of course I'm optimistic. Hopefully we will get more crowded or maybe more traffic, and after that we'll fed up and then we will say, okay, we need cycles. Right now China has a lot of cycling paths. Hopefully we will have at some point. We should feel proud of having cycling paths, not about cars. Of course, I'm not saying we shouldn't have cars, but they should be shared cars. Renewable energy. Yes. Yeah. Um, on the storage into the DNA, I haven't read more on that. Of course, I know that that exists. That's a possible. I will not talk more on that because I don't know about the topic much. I would be interested. It's still in the research to know. But coming to the bitcoins, I didn't want it to reveal, but of course you touched the point. But I could reveal that. So right now, I do understand. I think the rather than we say Bitcoin, we should say it as a cryptocurrency. So it's more about cryptocurrency. There are many types. So one of Bitcoin is one of the type basically. So there are thousands of types right now. Having cryptocurrency is a much good thing in terms of transparency. But the point is, the difficulty is how far it can reach to very common person. If it is not reaching to the common person, it will be extremely difficult. So it's not going to be that easy to penetrate to as a normal usage. But who knows? India actually in last 1.5 year, digital payments actually crossed China also right now. So in digital payments, India is much going fast. So if it is in India, probably India could do that also. So anyway, but coming to the cryptocurrency, I do felt that's possible, and we are trying to, and TMS Foundation trying to do this cryptocurrency. The method is like this. Right now, you have the cryptocurrency and not just the coins, but there are different things, coins and tokens. So tokens is something, it's a reward points what you get. Whether you go fly in supermarket or something like that, so reward points. So these reward points can be converted to the coins, but it has to be a law and everything. And also why it becomes a law, because once you have a coin, how that can be transferred and everything, that has to be a kind of law. If the if in the country, it has to be a kind of transfer note and other things. So this has to be kind of more regularized, or let's say more controlled approach has to be done. Until then, this can't be much easier. But then having tokens, nobody can stop right now. And of course, let's say 5 years before, there was a kind of stoppage, but there are a couple of rulings from Supreme Court and other things. It's now changed. Nobody's going to stop right now. If somebody wants to use tokens and cryptocurrency, it is going to be open now. It's not illegal completely. It's not illegal definitely. So tokens can have. So we are trying to make kind of tokens. So people can have tokens. So within TMS Foundation, so first we actually made a kind of website where people can earn. I don't know if people know some of the websites like Stack Overflow, other things where you get points when you answer somebody. So not just points, you also get tokens now. So there is another tool which we used in TMS Foundation, but of course not many used it. And then now trying to use this approach as a kind of token. So you do this works, you can this get tokens, you might this many tokens and this many tokens, but they will not have worth until they are regularized. So once it is regularized, people can use the tokens. But in terms of transaction to ask, because in voluntary organizations, it becomes difficult how my part or my effort can be recognized. So it's an idea to come up with that, to use tokens such that your part, your contribution can be recognized in this way. It's in a very infancy stage right now, all the technology and everything. So yeah, it could go in that direction definitely. For the non-profit people on voluntary works, it's a very good thing, I would say. Sorry, I missed. Can you repeat the point? I missed it. In India. Okay. Okay. I would like to see. Right now, we have some of the supercomputers also in some institutes, CDAC and other things, and in IITs also. We do have a lot of resources coming up in many private institutes also. So they approach what, let's say, if talking to in terms of the galaxy, I would say, because we are like say in that area. But of course, apart from galaxy, there's many more aspects for the computing power to can be useful. It's not just about the bioinformatics, but there are the other thing also. We need to have a kind of a national grid where we can use all the computing resource much easier. But for this to happen, we need to have like kind of understanding between the institutes, and also kind of open approach that all the public infrastructure belongs to everybody. It has to be shared by everybody, and it has to be claimed. It has to be, let's say, we want to do this and claim it. So it's like that approach has to come up. I would say an example would be Australia approach. Australia do have such a kind of grid network. They don't have a strong in one place network. Maybe one place could be a strong one, but others are not that bigger ones. But they do have a kind of a network. It's a very strong network. So they do use it. We do also have such a kind of small setup, but not as a national idea. We don't have right now. At least that's my information. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Um, I'm right now enthusiastic, that's for sure. And another thing is, um, if Galaxy has to go, probably it has to go with India. That's what I feel. In future, if it is not happening in India, probably it will not go also in throughout world. So it will kind of come to an halt. That's my feeling right now. If it is not going within India, because the point is the cost of uh, having new tools and doing these things, probably Europe might not be able to take that much. In future, that could be a thing. Probably US can still continue, but Europe will stop, will not be able to invest that much into that. They want to use as a complete, as a, let's say if you want to make one tool, it costs something, but they would like to use as in 100 tools, and after that what comes, that a big approach. So they will want to invest in that part. But if you want to take one tool, one tool, it requires a kind of not so costly resources, human resource. So that could happen only in India right now. That's what I see. So yeah, if it is going in India, it would go. If not, it could come a bit pause and halt. uh, my final comments. Thank you very much, Prash. You've been really wonderful in doing this Bioclues, and of course the Sciversation in particularly. It's really just completely interest which can actually can do this happen. Continuous talks on talking to people. Uh, this is wonderful as series of videos which you are doing. That was, I mean, very thankful that you invited me for this, and I'm very thankful to Bioclues community also. I'm being part of it, and of course, thanks for this podium. There is a question, seems to be. Yeah, yeah, what is you?
Hi,
I'm
Kiran.
hi.
Yeah, it's great talking to you. You've been seeing a lot of hurdles as a part of emotional career, personally and professionally. Like, how do you motivate yourself? It's very important thing. Like people like me, I would like to know what is the motivation behind it. It's something like there are ups and downs always there, but how do you tackle that? Being at one corner of the world, and how do you look at this point? Yeah, thank you.
Mm, um, I think I'm actually, let's say, nobody to answer, but of course I will just definitely say what's my experience. Um, I would say it's, I'm right now trying to know myself. It's rather than so after, I think after finishing my PhD and everything, now I understood myself that I don't know about myself much still. So I'm trying to know myself. How far, how, what can I do actually? Which I'm trying to challenge myself and see, can I do this or can I do this? Is that's a question I keep asking myself. So I'm exploring myself, if I'm able, if I be able to do that or not. So that question definitely motivates me. Apart from that, another thing what I see coming from India, I think to change the definition of poverty, that motivates me sometimes. So poverty doesn't go, at least according to me, is like poverty doesn't go. The definition gets changed. So maybe some now, I mean, at least the definition of poverty should change, where people should not have food, is that should change. So that will actually be kind of two things. Maybe we should reduce population and also provide amenities for everybody. So both the things can happen. So it's like that's a different. So if everybody is able to eat in India, the poverty is, that definition will get changed. That is the one thing I would try to contribute to that one. Of course, maybe not directly on the ground, but if work is provided and if other sources, whichever I can do, so that could be a kind of motivation for me.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Hi, Kiran.
Yeah.
It's a question as well as some sort of useful thing which we can do together. One question
Yes.
is, if you think that if we in Bioclues can work along with you with your stewardship and maybe few others who are stalwarts in Bioclues, a project in Galaxy, what sort of project you advise we take up? And secondly, we should definitely take it up. And if Prash or somebody gives a tight topic, are you ready to join and then steward it? Yeah.
Um, as I said, right now, I would definitely no, doesn't not say no for the Galaxy, but it will be like kind of a time thing is only thing. So if it is fine, if the work goes in a progress of, let's say, a meeting of every 15 days, or maybe something 1 month or something, and the progress will be a bit will be very slow if a project is taken. But once the project is taken, it goes into kind of a structured way, maybe then it will be a much faster. So while taking the project, if it is going very slow, we shouldn't get more demotivated. It's just take up and then do. And it's just that we need to organize, okay, maybe after this or this. So definitely that's possible, I would say. I mean, I don't know if I
Yeah.
answered. It's
Yeah.
like maybe because of a lot of things are happening. It's like it's only the time thing, but definitely I would like to take.
Yeah, I think this can also act as a motivation for the growth of Galaxy in India. And Prash, I think you can seriously think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, small question, Prashant. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, hi Kiran.
Hi.
Yeah, from your journey, we can understand how you are determined for achieving your goal. Appearing system for visa is big deal. And I have a small question: is, I mean, in the near future, will you develop any GUI based for Galaxy? Because I'm attending the FDP organized by Dr. Prashant, and it's purely based on command line network. So, as wet biologists, we are facing much difficulties in understanding those things. Is
Which
there
one?
any possibility in
MVP?
developing GUI for Galaxy?
Sorry, which one? I didn't heard the which one. MVP.
Graphic user interface. I mean, simple without command line, like a basic
No,
thing.
Galaxy is already on the browser, so it's not on the command line. So it's completely Galaxy is in the on the browser. So I'm not sure if I understood your question there.
Yes, Prashant. Yeah.
Uh, I sorry, I couldn't completely understand still the question. If you say CGI based question, so Galaxy is already it's a web based, and if you want to make have in your own instance, or let's say your local instance, that is already possible. So I'm not sure if I answered the question. Okay, okay, okay. In terms of interface, I wouldn't see much of the changes could happen in near future in the galaxy. But then when you come to the point, if it is taking a longer time, or let's say things are resources are not getting used, definitely if the workflow, if you already use some workflow, on that workflow, it can be definitely spoken. Like if somebody has developed that workflow, you can talk to that person. But if you don't like, you can definitely change the workflow and the tools which are getting used, and the tools what are getting used, you can contribute into that one. If you're able to point out which tool actually taking a longer time, so on that tool we can definitely work on that. That could be a possible. So on interface level, I don't think so that there will be a lot of changes right now. So because it's a kind of a pretty much a bit settled interface, I would say. But yeah, until it's really something big change, want people community, and then that happens only probably in terms of interface, kind of change can happen. Wow. Thank you, Prash. Yeah, bye. Yeah, bye. Yeah, bye.